Hi guys, huge apologies if you've just tried to log on to me or you've been waiting for me since 1:30. I totally apologise because the internet's even worse than it normally is actually. I thought I'd got it down to a T, but the internet's worse than it usually is because we're not having so good weather here in Leeds today, and we've had loads of rain. So anyway, I'm going to stop rambling on, and I don't think I'll get cut off in here, but I'm just checking that I am on the page, and just while I'm checking that I'm on the page, if you, yes I am, I think, yes. If you want to keep seeing posts from me and lives from me and things, firstly you can sign up on the lives to get alerts when you when the live finishes, and if you like and comment on any posts at all, I will still keep showing up in your feeds if you still want to hear from me. If you don't like. Okay, so I was going to talk about staying calm in the heat of a massive meltdown or tantrum today, but I just so happened to stumble across a post in a group in a Facebook group that I'm with, and it was about tantrums, and it was a question about should you ignore tantrums. So I thought I'd tackle this one actually live because I suppose I ought to introduce myself really actually, if nobody, you know, if you stumble across me and you've never met me before. I'm Shelley and I'm founder of the Mummy School, and I feel like my specialist subject is tantrums. Because my boys had the most horrific tantrums you can ever imagine, and they drove me totally over the edge. But I wanted to say that I don't follow one particular style of parenting. I want to support mums to parent the way they want to parent. Firstly, that's what I wanted to say. So getting back to the tantrum side of things, should you ignore tantrums? So this is a bit contradictory really, isn't it? Because I'm telling you that you should parent the way you want to parent, but within reason, and there is some things that you need to know before you make your decisions. And for me, and I'm going to be totally transparent here, I used to ignore tantrums because I didn't know any better. Because I got to the depths of despair with tantrums, I'll be honest. I got to the point where I just didn't know what to do next. So I would distract, I would ignore, I would cuddle, I would do all the things that people told you to do, and nothing ever worked. But getting back to the question, should you ignore tantrums? Well, no, not really. Because it depends how you look at tantrums, okay? But tantrums are about your toddler trying to piss you off, put bluntly. They're not about them misbehaving. They are not about them being naughty. They are not about them trying to control you. And these are all things that I possibly thought tantrums were about, but they're none of them. They are trying to get attention from you sometimes, yes, but is that a bad thing? Surely that's what children want and need, attention from parents. And it's not such a bad thing, is it? And I know that it's not always easy to give your children your undivided attention, and I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying that the tantrum because they don't get enough attention from you, that's far from it. I wouldn't ever make judgments like that, and I wouldn't ever say anything to make you feel bad, because I used to be racked with guilt as a parent as well, and you don't need me to make you feel guilty. But sometimes it is about them needing your attention, and when we have a busy life it's not always easy, and we don't always realise or we don't always notice. So it's probably about trying to be mindful as well, and remembering that sometimes, yes, they do need your attention, and if you're doing something, it's about maybe getting down to them and saying, I realise that you want me to do this with you, so if you can just be 2 little minutes while I finish off what I'm doing, and, you know, give them a bit of attention, because it's about making sure that crying, whingy, whining sort of tiny emotion doesn't blow up into a big massive emotion. If you're joining me, say hello so that I know you can hear me, or just give me a like, that would be fantastic. And it's also not about giving in to their every whim or rewarding bad behaviour. It's nothing like that, Okay, and so you might say, well, if I say no and they kick off and they tantrum, and I backtrack and I say, yes, okay, you can have this now, or yes, you can do this now, well, that's rewarding bad behaviour. Well, I guess that you've maybe got to look at it a different way, okay? So you would still set the boundaries and you would still say, no, you can't do this, this and this, but it's how you respond afterwards, okay? So it's important to remember that there's no blame here, and it's not your fault that your child has tantrums, and it's not their fault. It's just something that happens. They need to have tantrums sometimes. It's part of normal development. So don't blame yourself. It's not about blame, and it's not about the fact that you've not given them attention. You know, life's busy. Shit happens sometimes. Sorry, lost my train of thought here. But your toddler is learning and processing so much information at the moment that sometimes they can't cope with it all. They get overwhelmed. And sometimes also we have totally unrealistic expectations of what they can cope with and what they can process and what they do understand. And that's not our fault either, because we don't know. We don't always know that, do we? So, but here's the thing, right? Your toddler's tantrums is their way of trying to tell you that they can't cope with the situation that they're in at the moment. They haven't got the skills or the understanding or the capacity to cope with the situation that they're finding themselves in, whether that may be overwhelming, being overwhelmed, being angry, being sad, you know, whatever they're feeling. Your tot flying off the handle, screaming and tantruming is their way of saying, help, mummy, I cannot cope with the feelings that I'm having and I need some help and support from you to help me manage these feelings. So if you can see where I'm coming from, ignoring is actually not a good thing, because it's ignoring them saying, help, I can't cope. And again, this is not about blame, because this is something I didn't know about. So what's happening for them is that they can't cope because their brain, the part of the brain that controls emotional regulation, is undeveloped. Okay? And the scary thing is, or not so scary thing, but the scary thing is that the part of the brain that controls emotional development doesn't fully develop and mature till the mid-20s. So that's a scary thought, isn't it? And that's why we actually see lots of challenging behaviour in tantrum years. If you just join me, give me a like so that I know you can hear me. That's why we see lots of bad behaviour or challenging behaviour in the teenagers, because the brain is all rewiring and restructuring, and all this emotional regulation is still going on until the mid-20s. But don't worry, don't panic, because there are still areas of the brain that can regulate and manage emotions. You know that your tots aren't going to have these tantrums for the rest of their lives, don't worry. Yeah, so your toddler's brain is undeveloped and they can't manage this emotional regulation. They need your help to learn how to do it. And so yeah, that's where it is. So, put bluntly, but said with absolute love and compassion and no blame for parents whatsoever, you ignoring your toddler's tantrums is ignoring their distress. And that's not really a nice thought, is it? And again, this is something I didn't know, so it's said with love and help and no blame whatsoever. But it's ignoring your child's distress, your child's need for you to help them. So you need to start trying to remember that and to start giving them some tools to deal with the distress and to to show them empathy and understanding for what they're feeling, and to actually acknowledge what they're feeling. So here's the thing, right? If your toddler is having a tantrum or a meltdown because you have said no to something, it doesn't mean that you've got to back down. It doesn't mean that you are giving in. It doesn't mean that you are rewarding bad behaviour. You can still stick with the boundaries and say no. But you need to try to manage the situation by providing empathy and understanding and acknowledging how they feel. So, if your child wants one more story again before bedtime and you said no, then you need to stick with saying no, but you also need to say, I'm sorry that I'm making you cross and that you feel disappointed and sad, or whatever you think they may be feeling, that I've said no. But this is the reason why. So you might say, because now it is time for you to go to sleep and you're tired and mummy's tired and you've had 2 stories already. So you need to try to explain that and keep your boundaries in place. And your little one might kick off, might carry on, might tantrum, but you're still there and you are still empathising and acknowledging their feelings, and you are supporting them through it. And if you wanted to and your child would accept that, you could hug them or kiss them. Now mine would never accept a hug or a kiss. They used to be absolutely furious, but I didn't do all that sort of thing. I totally miss the point sometimes with tantrums, and that's the hardest way to deal with it, but it's probably the best way, because you're giving them skills and empathy and understanding, and you're showing them, you're acknowledging how they feel, you're giving them the verbal skills, you're helping them understand what they're feeling. You're not ignoring them, you're not ignoring the feelings, you're not ignoring you're not ignoring them. So it would be much easier for you to say, yes, okay, we'll have another story, and that would be giving in, wouldn't it? So stick with your boundaries, show them empathy, understanding, acknowledge the feelings, but stick with your boundaries. Okay, so if you've just joined me now, I'm coming to the end, but please, if you've got any questions, stick them in the comments below, and I'm going to be back on Monday live, probably about 1:30, actually letting you into some secrets for staying calm and not losing your shit when you are in the throes of a big massive meltdown. Oh, one other thing as well, actually, yeah, if you're really struggling with massive severe tantrums, at the moment I have launched a fab new online Mummy School Support Club. If you join in October, you get the first month for $4.99. That's access to me, 24 mini videos explaining everything developmentally wise about what's going on for your toddler, giving them the tools to help cope with the tantrums, giving you the tools to help them cope with the tantrums, and really nailing why they're tantruming. Because if you can get to the point of nailing why they are having the tantrums, hi Michelle, if you can get to the point when they're of understanding why they're having the tantrums, then you can support them and you can stop them having the tantrums. That'd be good, wouldn't it? So yeah, $4.99 for the first month in October. No obligation to stay. It's apart from me in a private closed Facebook group, so nobody else can see what you're saying or doing, for just $4.99. So less, what, $1.25 a week maybe, isn't it? So I'm going to love you and leave you now. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'm going to wind down now this afternoon and relax a little bit. So speak to you later. Bye.